Hi everyone, Danny here. We are ready for episode 9 of Talking Business here on the Pardo's Business YouTube channel. So thanks for joining us, and we've got a real nice special one today. We've got an ex-student of mine called Ismail, who was in my class about 5 or 6 years ago, I think. And Ismail has really taken things forward with car customization in the Birmingham area. So much so that now Ismail has been running for quite a few years his own organisation called Colomix, which you'll find out quite a lot about if you watch this interview that we're about to do here. But what I will do is this. Ismail very kindly sent us a few pictures to show us where it started, from a room about half the size of the classroom, if you can kind of picture that. I'm sure most teachers and students can. And we're also talking about a store cupboard. Okay, so essentially we've got one shelving unit there, as you can see, and we've got the space half the size of a classroom. So that's how the organisation started. But it's not how it's finishing, because now that has expanded into a 2-story space. You can see the early stages of it on that top picture there, but you can also see now that the place has filled up. There's boxes of deliveries everywhere, there's car parts, there's colour mixes, there's paints, there's all kinds of equipment there. And this is a credit to how Ismail, with the help of some of his family members, has been able to grow and develop this business. So isn't that fantastic? And if you'd like to know how, then stay tuned to this interview, as well as a load of other useful stuff about life when you leave college and the challenges that you'll face and how to overcome them. So here we go. Let's go talking business with Ismail.
Hello everyone, we are back talking business today with Ismail, who's involved with a business called Colomix. We're going to get to that in just a minute, but first of all, hello Ismail, how are you doing?
I'm doing not too bad, just a bit tired from lectures, but
bit tired from lectures, yeah, uni wearing you down. So we've got quite a few questions here from students. So a lot of these today aren't actually from me, they're from students who put their questions forward, and we'll get stuck into them in a minute. But you were a student at our college, I'm going to guess about 5 years ago or so, 5-6 years ago. So what's happened to you since you left our college? What have you been up to in the last 5-6 years?
So after college, took a bit of a break from education as a whole. I took a gap year. I spent a year working in Liverpool for a tech company. I was involved in projects between Sony and at the NHS. And I eventually took a project over to BCU as well, called We Grow Cherries, and sort of took on some sort of role as a project manager, sort of to build up my experience, just to find my feet where I wanted to go, where I was sort of figuring myself out at that point. I wasn't sure what I wanted to get into, so sort of stuck my feet into a gap year just to figure out. After that point, I took myself onto university, Aston University, as business management. I'm currently in my final year and in my final term right now, so fingers crossed I graduate this summer now.
Sure you will.
Yeah. And now I have Colomix Limited, more hands-on with it. I've had that business for the past 8 years. Just become more hands-on with it now. I've got the time, so got a lot more planned with it now.
Nice. So this idea of a gap year, then, by some people it's seen as a year off. It doesn't sound like it was a year off for you.
No. No. I was sort of finding my feet. I didn't know what I wanted to get into. It was either getting into apprenticeships or sort of finding my way into the world of work. So this opportunity came up and I sort of just jumped into it and just took it on.
Yeah. Well, that flows into one of these questions that we've got here. So why did you select this profession? Then if you've done all, the tech jobs you've done there and you're doing your degree, why the passion for Colomix Limited then? And can you tell us a bit about what Colomix Limited actually do before you do that, please?
Yeah, so Colomix Limited, we provide refinishing products for bodywork services, and we also make paint for cars. That's our main sort of income for the business. And we're sort of branching out into bringing our own body kits and whatnot now, and we're sort of branching out internationally. So in 2 weeks, actually, I've got a container coming now of more products to bring into the business and more products for me to venture into myself outside of Colomix. So Colomix isn't the only thing that I sort of do. I venture out into other markets, test them out, If they work, they work. If they don't, I just try another market and just sort of find my way out.
Yeah, nice idea, bit of trial and error there. So has COVID not hit you that much then in terms of your industry? Because I know obviously all we hear on the news are bad stories and terrible things happening to employment, and they are. Has COVID not had that effect on you?
It has to an extent. Suppliers are struggling at the moment as well with sort of materials, but because that we have actually imported some of our own materials and we're not as reliant on suppliers in the UK, we're sort of self-reliant on ourselves. We have our own suppliers across, and we sort of import every now and then as well. So we sort of import once a year, and that stock will last us through the whole year, and then we flip the profit and we get even more stock coming in, and we sort of venture out into other markets as well with the profit that we make as well.
Gotcha.
So I would say it has affected us because, as you know, there is a shortage of containers coming from China to the UK. And because of that, shipping costs have shot up and it sort of affected our profit margins. But it's not to the point where we are having to close down or anything like that. We have actually made it through COVID, which I'm happy with as well.
Oh, good stuff. Well, it's nice to hear some positive news stories come from that, you know. So going on to Columnix then, what's the thinking and motivation behind it then? Are you not a big fan of working for other people, or is cars and the creativity a passion of yours? You know, what's that motivation to really throw yourself full on into Columnix?
For me personally, I always prefer working for myself. I feel like if I can work for others, I know I'm making them a bit more, if you know what I mean. I've got more value to them. I feel like I've got more value to myself than I have to give to others. Personally, I prefer working for myself. I've always been self-reliant in that sense. Through college, I actually had my own paint business on the side of Columnix as well.
Right.
I sold paint tubes online for artists, and I kept that running from year 7, actually secondary school, up until second year of college. And then I sort of lost steam to keep it going because I wanted to try and delve into something else, and sort of work my way around it, flip the profits that I got from that, and I invested it elsewhere into other markets. So I invested it into eco straws. So you're drinking straws.
Yeah, no, I know that. I spoke to somebody who runs Final Straw, which is an LA-based company. So it's fascinating to hear that, you know, we think of things like that as a bit kind of out there, you know, and a bit different. But, you know, you're doing that as well. So how did that business go for you then?
Yeah, it went really well. We paid for my car.
Okay.
Covered my insurance.
Well said.
I flipped the money I got from that into other markets. So I went into shoelaces. I'm in shoelaces at the moment.
Wow.
I've done straws. What else have I done? I've got pouches for car keys that will be coming through.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of chipping it away back into the business of Columnix as well, trying out other markets. So I've got my own car kits coming through, and it's just trial and error really.
Yeah. So is that what I term, or I've heard students talk to me about, as drop shipping, where you buy them in bulk and then sell them on? Is that similar to that, or is that a different thing that you're doing?
For me, it's sort of, I would say it is drop shipping, but it's only on my terms really. I sell it through eBay. I do. So I've used eBay since 2009, 2010.
Wow.
I've had it since then. So I think last week has been about 10 years since I started that venture.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies, doesn't it? Good grief. A whole decade using eBay. That's amazing. And I think, man, you've also kind of touched on some of the answers here where students were asking, well, how do you get the money to start a business? Because, you know, our textbooks say that you can get government grants and business loans and friends and family and things like that. And you obviously started pretty small, you know, if we're talking year 7. And you're talking about kind of reinvesting the money. Have you had access to like external funds? You know, you don't have to get too personal. Or has it been a lot of just building and building and building as you go through the years?
For me, it was just building and building and building. I had a business last year actually, and Titan Media. I started off essentially with that. I think I invested about £300, and within a year, I sort of tripled that, and I made my money out of it really. So it's not about how much you sort of delve into your business and it's not about the money that you put into it. It's more of what value you bring into your business. It's more of the person that you are yourself. If you're willing to put yourself on the line, to actually make something happen, you can make it happen.
Yeah. And that again leads into things like work ethic. You know, some of the students are talking about motivation, and we have this image for running your own business is great. You know, get everybody else to do the work for you and kick back and relax. I mean, what's your experience as business owner? You know, whether it's going back to straws or color mix or Titan Media, what's life like as a business owner? You know, like that.
For me personally, I would say I always prefer relying on myself more than me having to rely on others. I I personally hold myself responsible for everything that I get involved in, so I don't have to sort of allocate work elsewhere. I prefer doing it myself. I prefer being more hands-on, because there's mistakes that I learn on the way, and I can reflect onto it and learn how to sort of get over it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's my experience of it. I really enjoy it. That's the thing that I most like about it.
Yeah. And in terms of making mistakes, then again, it gets a bit cheesy. You know, you've got to lose to know how to win and all these kind of things. I'm guessing you've made a few mistakes over the years that you could maybe, if you wish you could have back. Is that the case, or is it all been like, oh, everything's gone perfect for Ismail? Everything, you know.
Nothing's ever smooth sailing. It's never smooth sailing. If it was, everyone would do it.
Yeah.
But there has been mistakes on the way where I have actually made some losses, but it's come back in more way than others, learning from it.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, you know, that's a kind of, it sounds a bit cheesy when I say, you know, you'll learn from your mistakes and you'll grow and you'll develop, but you know, you're proof of that, aren't you? Are there any kind of mistakes that you can think of that you've learned from and you've gone, oh well, I'll never do that again, that you'd want to share with us?
I would say, let me have a think. I think maybe particular products that I've imported. Let me have a think. I've imported way too much.
Do you get a bit carried away sometimes and you go, oh, that'll work?
I think the mistake that I probably made was probably the quantity of products that I've probably imported. Okay. But the only reason being behind that is to get a good enough price for me to get a fair enough profit margin just for me to import. Yeah. But on the other hand, they do sell the products that I do import, because I do my fair bit of research before I import anything. And I'd say more towards the amount that you import. That's the problem that I've come across. Yeah. And it's how you come across to your suppliers as well. If they see you as someone who's willing to put the money forward and will put your money where your mouth is, essentially, they will deal with you and they'll give you a better price, really.
Okay, so that human kind of contact and being approachable and everything does work, rather than just being like, you know, a computer type of thing.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. So what about, you know, things are changing in the transport industry, and, you know, the recent ban on petrol cars that's coming in 2030, and the way that they're trying to get people to drive less and use public transport more. Do you see this having an impact on colour mix, or do you think there'll always be a market for the type of product that you offer?
I think there'll always be a market, because no matter what car they come out with, there will always be cars on the road, 100%. And we always get updated on the colors that actually come out. So our charts are always up to date. Our systems are always up to date. And I think regardless of what type of transport there will always be body shops working on cars. I think personally, because even though there'll be a 2030 ban on petrol cars, there'll still be diesel cars, there'll still be electric cars, there'll still be hybrid cars, there'll still be cars on the road.
Yeah.
There's no way you'll be able to tell everyone just to stop driving all in one go and that's it. No, it'll take a while for it to die down, but I think regardless, there'll still be people on the road.
Yeah. I think I'd agree with you completely on that one. I was looking around on the net for colour mix and I couldn't find much. How do you market yourselves? And if there's perception that you have to have a website, you have to have all the social medias, you know, you have to do all kinds of things to market yourself. Do you do all that? I know you've got your Instagram. Do you do all that as well, or have you not needed to? How do you market yourself?
For me, I only became more hands-on about, I think, this time last year, really. So Instagram was sort of like the first step for me for marketing, because I'm having to balance this alongside my degree. So I've got quite a bit on my plate, balancing this out and the business out. And I think the next step would probably be moving on to TikTok for the business with the mixing videos that I've been doing. Everyone's been enjoying that. And the website is something that I still need to work on. I do have one up, but it's not at the stage that I sort of want it at before I come out with it, really. But that I'll be working on probably after I graduate. That's something I will focus on.
Yeah. What's your Instagram account, if you want to give it a little bit of a shout out here? Because I've seen it, and your mixing videos are great, but it's another
Thank
world
you.
to me, something I'd never consider. So
Yeah.
how do we find out more about Colour Mix if we want to? What do we look for?
It's at Colour Mix BHX on Instagram.
At Colour Mix BHX on Instagram. Cool. I'll put that up on the screen in the links as well. So I mean, with that business, then obviously it's going nicely. I'm just having a look at my kind of notes here. Just looking at this one here, you can be honest with this one, and please do.
Yeah.
And we can tie it into uni as well. Did your course at college help you with this organisation, and is your degree helping as well?
For me, I'd say it's more about I'd say there is some aspects that do help, but for me, it's more towards the personal experiences that I've been through and the people I've met along the way.
Right.
So, for example, the people I've got around me, I've got my parents around me, always pushing me to do the best I can, the most I can. If there's always an idea that will always come to mind, they always tell me, push ahead, try. If you don't get what you want out of it, try again. I've also got my brother as well. He's got his own photography business as well, and he started that up from scratch. Literally had no photography knowledge behind him, but he's learned everything by the book himself.
Brilliant.
And now he's got a full-fledged business coming through from photography as well. At Muhammad Ali 6561, if you want to plug that in.
There we go. Yeah, we'll put it on.
And I've got my little brother. He's sort of got creative with his part as well. He's had his own Instagram account for the past 2 years. He's got a 10,000 following now, if I'm right.
Wow.
He does custom drawings, and he does sort of like custom AirPods, custom trainers. He sort of delved into that sort of world, so he's sort of getting there as well.
Wow.
And obviously my dad, a big inspiration to where I am today as well. It's been a long journey.
Yeah, it sounds
it.
Yeah. And you're only just starting on it, really, in terms of like the long-term goal of it. So is there a competitive element between you? I mean, obviously you're very supportive of each other, but is there a little bit of a competition between you as well?
No, I would say it's more of a support group more than a competitive cycle. Because we always bounce ideas off each other, and if there's a market that I want to get into but I can't get into at the moment, I'll bounce it off onto someone else in the household for them to try out, just to see what happens. Ideas have been successful, some haven't worked out, but there haven't been any losses, so good, thank God. Another thing I would say is find your circle. Once you find your circle, I wouldn't say fulfill it with sort of like yes men. I can't have yes men. I'd rather you tell me straight to the point. If I can't do something, I want an explanation as to why, and then I can work my way around it. I wouldn't want someone to say, oh, I've got an idea, do it. I'd want someone to be blunt, straight, honest with me. I'd say through college as well, I did enjoy college. I did enjoy my business degree, my business module, sport as well. Rob was a big inspiration as well. I sort of like the vibes that you get off Rob. He's very passionate about what he does, and very passionate about what he does, and particularly happy about him taking on his passion and sort of making his own basketball camp.
Bye-bye. No, you're right. Passion is something, and Rob's took that passion, hasn't he, and ran with it, and developed something over in Vietnam that it's got to be unique on so many levels, and the passion that he's got and the passion that you've got as well. This doesn't happen, does it, from thinking, oh, I'll give it a go. Oh, let's see what happens. Oh, I'll have a couple of days off. The passion that's coming through from you about what you do is quite evident. That's really nice to see. Cool. So let's have a look. I'm going to go off the business a little bit here and talk about some of the questions we've got here. This was a really interesting one I had. It's quite a long question, which is why I'm kind of looking at my planner here. So. it's one of the more interesting questions I've ever read. So, how do you remove the thought of worry? And as a student, I tend to worry about my future a lot. Was that something you ever encountered? And if so, how did you eliminate that thought? So, as a student and as a business owner, obviously you're taking risks. You took
Yeah.
risks through your college career and things. Did you ever worry? Did you ever have that issue? And did you eliminate it?
Of course, yeah, there's a moments where you actually do have your moment of worry, but
Yeah.
I'd say as long as you got people around you who are there to support you, yeah, as long as there's people around you to support you, there isn't much really that would sort of bring you down. As long as you got people around you who's there to sort of bring you up whenever you take a tumble, but as long as you can get back up, there's nothing to worry about. There's always going to be risks regardless of what business you get into, but as long as you've lined them up and you know what to expect, sort of delve into the area that you want to get into regardless of the predicament that you're in. Just try. The best thing you could do is just try, really.
Yeah. What great advice. It makes a change to not come from me. The fact that you're saying that, just give it a go. And, but obviously the support network, massively important. I think a lot of small business owners and business startups would say the same thing. I'm going to ask you kind of two more questions here. One is with regards to social media. So in terms of social media and what you do kind of personally versus for business, what would be your advice to kind of teenagers, early 20s in terms of social media? Because obviously you see a lot on there. You talked about TikTok earlier. You see a lot of people putting things out that you think, wow, would you want an employer to see that? What's your take on social media and how you should present yourself on there?
I would say that if you got your own personal account, then fairs, do what you want. But on the business aspect, keep it professional, because you don't know who's going to see it. It's a public account. You don't know who's got access to it. If you're looking to get employed down the line and your employer comes across a certain post that you've mentioned or a topic that you've come across, it's always going to come bite you in the back, literally. But I would say keep yourself composed on social media, regardless of the comments that you see.
Yes.
Because there's been moments where people have actually acted upon negative comments and it hasn't come out really in the lightest aspect. Always compose yourself, keep yourself professional, and think about who your target audience is at the end of the day. Because they always look at your business, and they'll decide and filter whether they want to associate themselves with your business. There might be opportunities that come up, and based on the impression that they've got through your profile, it'll be either they'll either open the door or close the door on you. That's down to you.
But what an interesting point, because there's kind of unwritten rules for if something comes across, and I'm going a bit old fashioned here with like an email. You don't, if something's annoyed you in it, you don't reply straight away. You sleep on it. But I think with social media, it's kind of taken that away, and you see something, and then you reply, and you go, "Oh my!" A day later, you think, oh, "I probably should have waited." And it's interesting that you say keep your composure, which is a real tricky thing to do sometimes, but it's still important. All right, so one last question for you then, Ismail, and it's a biggie. If you could go back to when you were 17, 18 in JCC, finishing up in your last year, and somebody would have told you some advice that you wish you kind of taken on and done what they'd said, what would that advice have been?
I would say have some sort of pot on the side, a rainy day fund, and I wouldn't just sit on it. I'd actually do something with it, if you get what I mean. Another point to put across is having your notepad aside and list out some of the ideas that you do want to go across and try. Do your research, figure out the area that you want to get into, what competitors are getting into, and sort of figure out where you want to get into. Just try. Literally, you won't know unless you try.
Just try. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. I'm
yeah.
going to get that on a poster in my classroom or something and put your face next to it or something. So, no, I love it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you giving your time. I know you're so busy running your own business and businesses and, doing the university degree and everything as well. I hope that goes fantastic for you. I'm sure it will.
Hope so.
And we'll keep our eyes on Colour Mix. We'll let everybody know about it. And, all the best to you. And thank you so much.
You're welcome. No worries.
All right.
More than happy to do this again.
Super. I'll pause the recording now, then, and we'll catch up in just a second. All right. Thanks very much, Ismail. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, Ismail, for taking the time to talk to us today. Just try is such a great phrase, and it's really fascinating to see how you've used that throughout your career so far. And to build these businesses into something that's reputable is just fantastic. So nice one to you. Thank you to you. And thanks to everybody else for watching. I hope you find this useful and inspirational and interesting. And if you do, then please feel free to share the word and tell everybody else about it. We'll see you again for episode 10 of Talking Business here on the Pardo's Business YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Bye.